Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the 17th episode of Healthcare Insights, powered by RedMed, LBN Tech Solutions, and All Ladies League Digital Transformation Chapter. Managing diabetes is a science. Understand diabetes to fight diabetes. So this is the topic for today, and we have two eminent speakers with us. Learn how to do the above from CHEVALIER, Professor M.A.Vijayalakshmi, PhD, Professor and Founder Director, Center for BioSeparation Technology, CBST, VTI, Vellore, and Dr. Krishnan Venkataraman, Professor and Director, Center for BioSeparation Technology, CBST, VIT, and Vellore. So a little bit about Professor Vijayalakshmi. She is an eminent, world-renowned scientist in the field of separation sciences and molecular interactions. She established Center for BioSeparation Technology in VIT Vellore in 2005. She has over 200 publications and several patents and 15 patents. Among the 15 patents, 9 patents were awarded, 2 from the US, 3 from the Europe, and 4 from India. Many of them are in translational research in collaboration with industries. Then among several awards, Professor Vijayalakshmi was conferred the title of Chevalier by the French Republic President Jacques Chirac in October 2004. I extend a warm welcome to you, ma'am, and we are absolutely honored to have you in our midst. Welcome, ma'am. Sharing the space for this talk is Dr. Krishnan Venkataraman, Professor and Director, Center for BioSeparation Technology, VIT Vellore. Professor's research interests are signaling pathways, lipid and lipoprotein metabolism, and understanding metabolic diseases such as diabetes, obesity, and cardiovascular diseases and autoimmune diseases. Alleviating metabolic disorders such as diabetes and obesity by natural products and development of molecules through reverse pharmacology. Those are his interests. And he has 45 research papers among his publications, and 3 patents were awarded. So absolutely honored to have you, Dr. Krishnan Venkataraman, amongst us. And I think it is over to you now first, followed by Professor Vijayalakshmi. Okay. And after their sessions or while their talk is going on, comments, questions, opinions can be put up on the chat. It will be dealt with by the expert speakers after the talk is over. So over to you, professors. So we are looking forward to this.
Right. Can you hear me?
Yes, very well.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you for your kind introduction. I'd like to thank Sandhya Rao, of course, Meghalai, and all the organizations who are involved in this with you to host this event. And last December, last year, end of last year, Sandhya Rao called me and Vijay, and I was like little hesitant to accept it because of too much of travel. And, so she said, last week of Jan, but I was going away to Patna, but then she said she will prepone it. Then I asked Vijay, she accepted. I called her Vijay directly. So we have a very informal discussions every day. And, we have been we've been joining together and doing a lot of collaborative work. And so, the outcome, what is the general interest? That's what we wanted to talk. And of course, we have made a significant progress in the Aloe Vera work, which is relevant to the society. And so we'll be presenting on that. And mostly Vijay will present everything on Aloe Vera. I thought I will touch on the aspects which our society touches our society. Okay. Importantly, what is happening over years is that we've been hearing a lot about diabetes and the other lifestyle diseases, which is getting in the public domain because many people are affected. So I thought I'll just talk about this more of a general in nature. The interest for me is about one aspect is about the science and technology, which can be used for the society's benefit. The other thing is about the human societies, okay? How humans have evolved, wherever they moved, what all kind of enterprises they have undertaken over years. And so this is the important aspect. The one is about the life of human beings and their culture and their livelihood and their occupation or professions, whatever it is, how it impacts in their health. This is one of the interests that I have. This is more of a hobby. I thought I'll present about this. So I'll just share my the slides. So today I hope you're all able to see the slides. Yeah.
Yes,
So
we can.
today, yeah, thank you. I'll talk about why there is a high prevalence of diabetes and lifestyle diseases in human societies. We see every day in newspaper or in television channel or in any of the social media. It's been talked quite widely, extensively. And of course, in our own families, the close, near and dear ones, some of them are affected. And some of us, without our knowledge, we think we are normal, we are healthy, but there may be some underlying thing that is happening. Suddenly, after a few years, we discover that, we do have these kind of issues, namely diabetes or obesity, some kind of heart issues, etc., hypertension, etc. Okay, so the traditional knowledge in India is that it's all to do with diet and sedentary lifestyles, which has been talked extensively every day, and of course it's become a common sense also. But in our Indian society, there's always the older generation of people would say control the youngsters, and then they would say you regulate your eating, just don't eat anything and everything, etc. This has been the practice. And my grandmother used one who used to tell all of us when we were young. She was very strict. Again, she was tough with adult males especially, and of course she was tough with her sons, and she was okay with the grandchildren because they were young. She said you could eat well, but with adults, she would say this: a yogi will eat only once a day, a family man or a bogi will eat twice a day, a person who eats thrice a day is a diseased person, so you don't eat a lot. Okay, so this was her message. It was getting conveyed, but up till 1980s, we were been living on, many of us, I would say, were living on subsistence, very marginal income, and many people in the country were suffering from, the poverty. Okay, so they were not having enough food to eat. 1990 onwards, you see, the liberalization of economy, and of course, abundance of food, and we made revolutions in agriculture, we made revolutions in dairy, etc. Suddenly, things started becoming better, and of course, the governing. We have everyday issue with the government, state government or central government. We have a lot of complaints against them, but of course, they've done a remarkable job of distributing the food which were available to everyone it should reach. Okay, still we are not completely happy, but still it's much better than 30 years ago or 40 years ago. Okay, but this, the younger generation after 90s, you see them getting into different kinds of professions, and of course the latest being digital technologies, AI, etc., etc., and largely a physical work-oriented society. Suddenly, it is changing it to a sedentary lifestyle. Of course, food was available, and you see, you ask any common man now, they know about cholesterol, they know about sugar. Okay, and the I did actually had a practical experience. I was attending a wedding, and these cleaning ladies, they were cleaning, and then one of the senior most lady was telling all other ladies not to eat anything and everything that was there in the dish, provided in the dinner, because it was a heavy meal, a lot of sweets, and of course, fatty rich food, etc. And then she was particularly cornering one lady. I went and asked her, why is so? Why are you so tough on her? And she said she was supposed to be, controlling. She's controlling her because she's her daughter. She was 50 years old. She had already obesity and diabetes, etc. And she was the only daughter she had. She wanted her to live long. Okay. And doctor told her that to regulate her eating habits. Okay. So these are the stories we keep hearing about them. So we'll just see why, the global prevalence. Okay, so how many people are affected? We see that every part of the globe, we have a good number of millions of people are affected, especially in developing countries. I'll come to that. So if you see on the right-hand side, the type 1 and type 2 type diseases, diabetes, many of you may already know. And type 1 is an autoimmune disease, type 2 is a lifestyle disease. Of course, we'll come to that a little more in detail. So much of the disorder that we see, it is because of type 2. Okay, quite a bit is there. And then, of course, our Indian population, if you just see diabetes prevalence, India is a leader in the world, a capital of diabetes, cardiovascular disease. We are good in a number of things. Our youngsters are doing extremely well, but also we have this burden of taking care of our individuals in the society. Of course, we have a large population, and you see the top 3 countries are India, China, and USA. We have a huge number of population, but you see the quantum jump. It's more than 2 times within a span of 25 years. We are seeing a huge jump in number of individuals who are affected with diabetes. Okay. Similarly, in China, US, of course, you see Indonesia, it's 3 times higher, nearly 3 times higher. Mm-hmm. And of course, many developing countries are listed here. Okay. But not the European countries. Okay. We'll talk about that later, why it is so. So if you look at these numbers, it is really, really alarming. What we are seeing here is, the reported cases in developing countries. For every individual who has been diagnosed with diabetes, there are at least minimum of 3 individuals not being diagnosed. So the figures could be much, much higher because many of them are scared to go to a doctor, or they think they can manage, or they don't reveal it until it becomes uncontrollable. Okay. So, Dr. V. Mohan, he's been talking a lot. Of course, many of you know him. He's an expert in diabetes. He's a clinic in Chennai, and he talks in public forum, and he make a representation for the government of India. So he is also monitoring our work. He's been an advisor to our work, what we have been working on, Aloe Vera work, which Vijay will be presenting. So he is of the opinion that there is a dramatic change in, a number of factors which is contributing to that. Demographic transitions, epidemiological transition. What is this demographic transition? The population size in terms of family, individual family, we are becoming nuclear, but earlier generations, the longevity was less, but now people tend to live longer because of the better healthcare or social indices, the better governmental programs. People are able to live better. Epidemiological transition, earlier, mostly it was restricted to the diabetes, it was restricted to urban cities, and now it is spread to rural areas as well. Of course, rapid urbanization. few years ago, 30 years ago, there were only 5 metropolis. Now we have more than 20 metropolis. And there's a lot of industrialization that is happening, increasing income levels. And of course, coupled with this, change in lifestyles, values, culture, our eating habits, it's all changing and changing dramatically. And of course, physical activities as well. Okay. So these are 4 types of diabetes. I'm not going to getting into the details of it. Professor Vijay will speak about it. Okay, much of the, whatever the cases we see, it's all about type 2 diabetes. Okay, so we've been telling about lifestyle disease, but they have genetic factors, they have environmental factors, and of course, the interaction between the two, genetic as well as environment, they play a number of role in making it worse. Okay, so in addition to that, often we find coexistence of obesity, hypertension, autoimmune disease or heart diseases, a number of other factors, they add up and then make it even problematic. So, what I'll do is today I'm going to just give an overview what I'm going to address in a larger way in the subsequent, more detailed way in the next month or so. Because if I speak a lot, then, the Professor Vijay will not get time. So we thought we'll just speak, I'll speak briefly today. Okay, so, lifestyle diseases, it constitute diabetes, obesity, hypertension, cardiovascular diseases. Economics of it, we are spending annually $1 trillion just managing this disease. 50% of the money, additional 50% of the money, it is just goes and reduce productivity. If the society is not healthy, one, we have to take care of the diseased individuals, or they need to take care of themselves. Of course, it is compromising their contribution to the work, productivity. Okay, and of course, insulin resistance is a major cause, and sugar builds up, and it's a slow poison. And we'll just see a little more on some of the aspects. So, human societies in different geographies, they experience different kind of climate, weather, and people are, there are kind of comparative advantage in terms of enterprises. Some countries are rich in natural wealth, some countries do not have wealth, but based on knowledge, they've created the wealth and the kind of occupation, the foods we eat, the famines, natural disasters, family circumstances, many of them, they contribute. So why I said genetic factors? So a Swedish studied 400 identical individuals, and they saw that some of these twins, if they are exposed to identical condition, they do get diabetes, and they are vulnerable to diabetes. And of course, there are individuals, if they are in a safer place, and an individual is not in a safer place, or because of the genes they are vulnerable, one of them may get diabetes, another may not get diabetes. Okay, so there are a lot of such studies have been done, and the family, cultural environment, everything matters a lot here, and of course how they live when they grow up to adults. Okay, this is from again Dr. Mohan's work. There's a gene called PPR gamma. It regulates the fat metabolism and also sugar metabolism. So he was particularly interested in Tamil Nadu, South Indian population, because the prevalence of diabetes is quite high in southern part of India compared to North India. And he made a comparison. People living in Chennai who come to clinic, you see that people living here in Chennai, people living in South Asia, South Asians in the US, in Texas, and it made a comparison with PPR gamma levels. Okay, you see that Caucasians, they have less, vulnerable, because there is some kind of underlying genetic basis for this. Okay, we'll talk about these things little in my subsequent seminar. So what are the risk factors? Genetics, family economics, and emotional background. And of course, women, because of hormonal issues like polycystic ovarian syndrome, they are highly susceptible for diabetes. If we take continent-wise, African Americans and in general, Africans are more susceptible. African Americans are even more susceptible. Hispanics and Asians compared to whites. Okay, generally age after 45, that was observed earlier, but we do see in Indian context, we see diabetic people even at the age of 30. Why? Because of the food and then the habits that we have cultivated, it is contributing to that. And of course, our physical inactivity and then weight gain, etc. Okay. So I was telling you about insulin resistance. This is an underlying cause, and then it can lead to type 2 diabetes, hypertension, lipid buildup, sudden clotting of blood leading to heart attacks, and of course, vascular or what we call endothelial cell dysfunction. Okay, they are contributed by genetics, low birth weight. This is one of the major critical factor. And individuals who are born with low birth weight, when they grow up to adults, it is a major contributing factor, irrespective of the genetics. Okay, and of course, age, drugs, etc. Okay, then of course we build up fat and in unusual places, and it contributes for obesity. And we talk a lot about diet, etc. We'll talk about these things. So is it a recent trend only? Perhaps not. It did exist in ancient times. In ancient texts like Shushruta Samhita, Ayurveda describes the diabetes as Madhumeda. Chinese traditional medicines also describes it. Egyptian mummies alluded to this, and of course, Arabian literature also says about frequent urination. These are all linked to diabetes. Okay, and of course, a number of factors, environmental factors, social factors, they contribute. Man-made, such as wars, disasters, that what we see in Afghanistan or Pakistan or in our own country in some parts. Gestational diabetes, another factor. Child abuse, the way you treat the child when they are young, abused children, they do develop diabetes, hypertension. Of course, parents who feel that whatever they didn't get in their life, they want to excessively pamper them, give everything, they do get affected. Smoking is a major concern. And of course, these are all sins of parents. Generally, older generation, wise people will say, the sins of parents is transferred to the next generation. Okay, so we'll talk about all this. And then one last thing I will just briefly touch about war. When German forces invaded Netherlands, Netherlands is one of the healthy countries. People are very tall, etc. When they were invaded, the food was rationed. 1/5 of the everyday consumption was provided. Many children were underweight when they were born, and they developed a lot of diabetes, other issues later, depression, etc. And women who recovered later, 20 years later, when they delivered children, even they carried on these kinds of issues. Okay, so finally, I'll just tell that about the way we conquered the frontiers. So we were a small monkey or ape-related animals. We were in Africa 200,000 years ago, very insignificant in a span of relatively small span of 200,000 years, 2 lakh years, which may sound a large amount of time for us, but in the cosmic scale, it is small. And we occupied the entire globe, and we want to go to extraterrestrial space, etc. But we occupy different parts of the world, and I will just describe to you more in detail about these interesting stories, how it is relatable to our current day existing problems. Okay, with this, I will stop my talk. Introduction. And of course, I will hand over the podium to Professor Vijay. And I request all of you can post the questions to in the chat box. I'll read out the questions. We can answer it. Either if you want it now, we can answer it a little bit, or we can do it at the end. I think it is better to do it at the end. And then, of course, I will moderate it. I may ask few questions, and you could also ask questions. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for the interest that you are all showing. I hope I'll be able to give you some details. I am Professor Vijay. Well, my name is Vijayalakshmi, but people call me Vijay. And you have to excuse me because I am a little bit short in my sight because of all the problems, and I'm not very young. So in case of necessity, I'll take Krishnan's help. So I'm going to talk to you about, see, Krishnan has given you a very good picture of how diabetes is in the world and in India. So India has disadvantage, as he has explained, but we also have a specific advantage because we have a very interesting, what we'll say, the geographical situation and climatology and environmental aspect, where we have a lot of natural products, particularly herbal things, which are existing and have been developed with a very deep knowledge. I don't have to tell all of you how these Ayurvedic, Siddha, Unani systems are working very well and still to a very good extent. Only problem is now to relate it with the understanding of the present day is posing a problem to use it in a more efficient way. So my talk is going to be, how can we fight diabetes using the traditional system, traditional plant-based herbs, and to make through a very clear understanding and make them much more efficient and useful. So this is going to be the journey that I'm going to take you through. So if we talk about diabetes, Krishnan has given a good introduction, but I'm now going to give you some of the technical things. Diabetes is not a disease. It is a disorder or malfunction of the system. So it is called metabolic disorder. So a malfunction of whatever we eat. He has explained very clearly, taken you through a good journey. So the whatever we eat is not used purposefully. It is not used for the purpose that is doing the work, energy and growth. These are the three functions. So instead, we just develop all sorts of malfunction. And so that is what diabetes is, a disorder in the metabolic system. So
health quality.
Yeah, so the what he has already explained, I don't think I have to repeat all that. It spoils the health and also additional side effects, lot of different, I will go take you through that. Lot of other problems are happening because of the diabetes, like he explained, the cardiovascular dysfunction and liver dysfunction, fat, everything. So next one is, so there are two types of diabetes. One is which is not changeable. It's what you call destined. So the genetic factor and the ethnic factor. Other one is brought in by us, by our habits, lifestyle, etc. So this one, the left hand side, we'll call it mostly type 1, and the other one is type 2. Next one. So also the diabetes, as I mentioned in the beginning, will lead to a lot of other secondary pathologies. Like I used to say, when you have diabetes, even if you don't have one pathy, you'll have many pathis. So it's a joke. So for example, with diabetic, you will get nephropathy. What is nephropathy? It's a kidney malfunction. And then what is neuropathy or neuromuscular difficulties and problems, which will insensitivity, and sometimes you get injuries without knowing, and that get into deeper problem. And retinopathy, eyesight. Retinopathy, diabetic retinopathy is one of the very important issues today. Like more than half a dozen, 10 companies in India trying to find molecules to treat that. So these are the secondary complications of the other organs other than those involved in the diabetic control per se. Next one. So what is the situation? He has given you a kind of a global picture, but I'm going to take you through some numbers. So the whole world, diabetic is one of the major things today, major concern. The whole world has about 530 million diabetic patients identified, and which may grow into more than 700 in a short while, in a few 1 or 2 decades. And then you will have, you have 74 millions in India, and also it's alarmingly increasing. And furthermore, as he mentioned, not everybody is identified because the beginning diabetes, people don't go to doctor, etc. So these are the issues of the diabetic situation in the world. So now, what are the types of diabetes? Is the treatment the same, or do we deal with the same factors, and what are the difficulties to manage each type? So there are 3 types of diabetes. One is type 1. What is type 1 diabetes? Type 1 diabetes is no insulin is produced, not enough insulin is produced. So you have insulin absence, so it needs to be given insulin, or how to make the body produce insulin otherwise. So this is one of the questions we are going to address. And this diabetes can set in very early. I'm going to shock you because I've seen cases as early as 1.5 years old or 1-year-old child. And they have to live with that throughout their life. But luckily, I know some cases they are still living happily even after 70. So don't get discouraged. Because if you control correctly, you can live very well with any of these difficulties. So type 1 diabetes is mostly this insulin secretion problem is through some immune dysfunction. So it's called autoimmune disorder. So the antibodies are produced, so it stops. So this is autoimmune dysfunction. So there, the major medicine as of now in the present scenario is insulin. So they have to get insulin from very, very early ages. And in fact, I remember my friend's child in US, when the boy was 2-3 years old, when he goes to play with his mates, so he has to be monitored for insulin injection right time. So type 2 diabetes is the onset with a lot of lifestyle changes, and also with aging it starts. So 2 things. Main thing there is the insulin is the one which is controlling the sugar that we are eating to produce into energy or the other component that we need for the body. But if the insulin is not able to function, even though it is produced, because it is not able to go and bind to the right target and then be functional, so that is malfunctioning in insulin or the insulin receptor failure. So this is the one which is coming much later. It's mostly with the age and the other difficulties already that Krishnan has explained, our habits, lifestyle, etc. And the third one is something gestational. So many women become diabetic in the end of their, in the beginning or middle of their pregnancy, alarming. But then if that is taken care correctly with the right medicine, they are saved and the child will not have diabetes. Otherwise, if it's not treated correctly, the child will carry the diabetes. So this is gestational diabetes is a punctual one, but if it is taken correctly, it can be treated correctly. So next one.
Insulin.
So now we talked about insulin, particularly for the type 1. The type 2 is insulin receptor binding. We'll see how it is going to be involved in the diabetic alleviation. So insulin treatment is a major one in type 1. And also in type 2, as the time goes, initially insulin is produced, not binding to the receptor. By the way of time, over the time, the insulin production is also limited because the pancreatic cells which are producing insulin die away, they get destroyed, they got what we call technically necrosed, like just getting into pieces. So that can happen. The insulin treatment is the one major importance in type 1 and also important in type 2 advanced stages. But what are the difficulties with the insulin treatment? Insulin, there are so many different preparations of insulin. Everything, one expensive, more expensive than the other. And long acting, short acting, and combination, and then all. So now I think it's getting more and more complex with the insulin treatment. And moreover, you have to control its function. Next one. So this is other drugs, because we know, I think some of us, we are talking today, we are ourselves diabetic. So what are the lot of different drugs? So I'm going to take you through a small technical journey, which are the organs which are involved in the diabetic mechanism or in the sugar metabolism function. So there are so many drugs which are targeting some of these organs. Some of them targeting only one organ, and others, like, the family of sulfonylurea, it will work through one mechanism. It is suitable for some people. Other people, they get stomach problem and they have flatulence. And because I've seen very recently one big professor got completely scared because after taking sulfonylurea, he got into problem. So like that. And of course, metformin is most friendly receptor binding correcting medicine. So we have a plethora of pharmaceutical molecules which are targeting single function. So this is the message here. So all these pharma products, they have been studied to studied to fight a single dysfunction, not global, not the englobing all the dysfunction which are involved in diabetes. As you know, I'm going to take you through that journey to understand diabetes, how the different organs of our body are involved in using the sugar correctly, whatever sugar, whatever carbohydrate that we are ingesting, how they are used, and how they are used for the benefit of the individual through different organs like intestine, pancreas, liver, and kidney, etc. So we are going to see that how it is working, how any medicine should be working through some of them or all of them in harmony so that you get a good treatment. This is going to be the journey through which I am going to take you from now. Next one.
Affordability.
So also we have seen some of the drawbacks. Major drawback, I would say, affordability and all. Maybe today this country is as rich as anybody, but the major problem is we have a agrar and rural population, which is very high majority. So if you are going to take only this insulin treatment, it's a big problem to have a control and then monitor it correctly without going into the risk of hypoglycemia. Hypoglycemia is a very dangerous thing. Many of you may know. They should take the sugar amount every time before the injection and inject it correctly, etc. And also many of them are illiterate. So how they manage this? So these are the issues specific to our country. So where we have difficulty in using it very correctly, all these available medication. So India has been very rich. Alternative medicine. Of course, we have excellent documents on this Ayurvedic and other system, but nevertheless, not very well understood to be exploited in a general way for the common public. So it becomes like a protected secret area for some people, and the doctors themselves, they don't explain how one is functioning, how it is, what is to be done, etc. So in the alternative medicine for diabetes, we have seen many scriptures describing some of the things that we have plentifully, like Karela. If you take Karela or the bitter gourd, Pavakai in Tamil, so it has got a single function. Of course, I was working on that many years ago to some extent. And myself, I have experienced, if I take Karela, my sugar goes very low, just like taking insulin. So this is something one has to know, what is the mode of action of Karela, how you can control it. And the second one, which is very well known, is fenugreek. Fenugreek is harmless, but at the same time, you do not know how it is functioning, what is the modus operandi of that system, and what are the things that you have to do in addition, and how it is working on which organ. That is not has been studied very clearly. Jamun, of course, is one of the best things known for diabetes, which have been recommended by all sorts of different alternative medicine practitioners. But again, same problem. No standard preparation was used. and anything that you get ripe, unripe, half ripe, everything. And what is the function of the seed? What is the function of the pulp? We do not know much about it. Some amount is there, but some Pondicherry people are doing, but still it is not still very clear. No regular systematic study has been taken. Last one, but the most important is aloe vera. Why aloe vera is very important? Because it has been known very well as a medicine. Even today, if you go to any supermarket, you will find on the shelf some aloe vera product. Next one. Why aloe vera is important? It is a very widely known plant and suitable to many geographic conditions growing in different countries of the world. You have the Mexican, Indian, and everywhere. Even Turkey has a very good amount of different varieties of aloe vera. So this is a plant which is really growing in all different climates, and it has been used. But only difficulty, one major drawback here is, it is just used randomly. Like I was telling, I've seen many of the products are just there as a juice, as a paste, as a powder. I do not know how they were prepared. And is it microbially controlled, first of all, because they buy the juice and then they just take. And what is the quality of the material, how they have used. This is very, very important. I want to draw your attention to one information which I am sharing with you. That is, we started the work with aloe vera here in this center as early as 2004, when the center was getting started, when the concept was started. So we had different aloe vera. I will not say which variety. It is just different from different places. And we made different types of extract also. What is an extract? What extract is, either you can grind it and put it in water and filter it, or you can put it in, grind it and put it in alcohol and water or anything like that. So we went through all sorts of different extraction, and we chose the alcohol water mixture preparation, the extract preparation, and use a dry powder prepared from that. Despite using the same method, we used 4 or 5 different sources and 4 or 5 different aloe vera extraction. One of them was fatal to the animals when we started the in vivo work. So God, what is happening? So then we found that that particular supply had some problem in the raw material, showing some toxic things. So this is very, very, very important, how the preparation was done. So next slide.
Standardization.
So this is very, very important. Aloe vera is excellent, certified, very good, but the preparation should be standardized. Whatever you take aloe vera, you should know the standard phytochemical profile, if I can say so. That should be certified, just like in the allopathic medicine, you get the certification like what you have, and it should be standardized, and the composition should be consistent. If a person is getting the product should be consistent, otherwise you will have unforeseen unwanted events that may happen. So this has to be done in a very systematic way. And I'm very proud to say that we at CBST here, Krishnan joined us in 2009, but we were working on that with Dr. Aisha Noor, whom you will see now. So we have made all sorts of different preparation under standardized, and we know for the past 15 years it's the same composition. Whatever preparation that we are making, it is same composition, and that is the most important factor. Next one. So why this same composition? And I'm going to tell you now how it is working, why that composition is important, because with our organs are working in harmony. Each one of those organs, I say what are the organs involved in sugar metabolism, not diabetic, in sugar metabolism. Initially pancreas, because that is the one giving insulin and also secreting lipase and other enzyme. And then you have also intestine, which is stimulating the pancreas to produce insulin. We'll go through all that. And then you have liver, which will reserve the excess sugar and then release it when it is needed. And the kidney, which is also playing the control over the lipolytic system, that is fat system. So all these four should work together. Are these organs going to work with the same compound? Is it the aloe vera doing everything, all the 4 compounds or 5 compounds, 6 compounds, they're doing the same, or how they are working? How is the team work is organized by nature to help the nature? So we are going to see this teamwork in a synergistic way, how they are working. Next one. Sorry. So you see here the diseased pancreas, that is a sick one with diabetes, and the normal one. You can see the difference. What is the insulin secreting cells are called islets or the beta cells, and they are healthy in the normal one. The other one, it has got shrunken or necrosed or everything. Next one. So how it is working? So when the insulin comes into contact with its receptor, which is another protein molecule, the sugar is taken and sugar is used to produce the necessary elements like sugar reserve in the blood to control, and then the energy and other conversion. So this is the mechanism that our body is regulated. That machine is working through the insulin function of the glucose, which is binding to convert into some derivative, etc. This is all big chemistry, you know. Our human body is the most complicated and the most efficient chemical factory. So this chemistry is happening there. And so now I'm going to show you how our aloe vera, I will call it miracle substance, is working at each level. So this is the normal, the animal experiment, because the human data, we had done one human trial, but we cannot show that officially because we need the permission of the people. So now, but we have done only with 50 patients, so that is too small a number. So here I am showing the animal data. So you are seeing the experiment where we have chosen the rats and where we have induced diabetes to the rats, and we have controlled healthy rats and the diabetic rats without any treatment, and the diabetic rats with treatment of aloe vera, and the diabetic rat treated with the allopathic equivalent medicine, which is recommended by the doctor. So we have taken here, as you see here, the day one, the diabetic rats have very high sugar. And in the 3rd week, you see here, diabetic rats come to the normal level of sugar as the healthy rat. And so that means we are able to repair the glucose dysfunction or glucose utilization correctly using aloe vera of the diabetic rats, which had up to about I think 300 to 400 sugar was the diabetes of these rats. Because when the rats were made diabetic, they had up to 400 sugar. That is a number. So it was brought back to almost normal within 3 weeks. So next slide. So why it is brought back to normal? Because as I told you, pancreas is the one secreting insulin. So these diabetic rats had the pancreas dysfunction. Pancreas was not working correctly. Those cells producing insulin were not working correctly. I'll show you here. You see here, the diabetic rat's insulin level is very low. You can see here. So the red color. And then when those rats are fed with aloe vera, they increase gradually and go to normal and stationary. That is the most important. I'm going to discuss a few minutes on this for you to appreciate this. And normal rats, healthy rats, which are given the same amount of aloe vera, no effect. That's a very, very important. As I told you, when Karela was taken for a normal thing, you get sometimes hypoglycemia. That is, insulin is just there, and then you get additional unwanted insulin. Whereas here it is regulated. This aloe vera extract does not provoke any unwanted insulin in the rats which are healthy. And the rats which are diabetic, it is coming back to normal without going beyond any control. The rats which are diabetic and not given anything, they are just having low insulin. So this is the most interesting data. I was very much excited. This is the data of a few years ago, not today, and consistent even today with all the batches. It's very consistent. So this is the most exciting. This aloe vera is working in regulating the insulin secreting cells, not only regulating, regenerating, which I'm going to show you now. So as you see here, we have taken those organ, pancreas, and made slides with the help of CMC. You can see here normal rats, and when they are induced with diabetes, when they become diabetic, these beta cells are completely destroyed, necrosed. So when you treat them with aloe vera, they come back to normal. And I don't have time to show you. We have counted the number of cells, and we have measured their volume, weight, and everything. So more than 85% of regeneration to normality and in number has happened. So this is something miraculous. So this aloe vera is able to regenerate the dead cells of the pancreas. So now this is the next organ, intestine.
No, this is about glucose control with GLP-1 pathway.
That is what it is, intestine.
That
you have taken the wrong thing. They are giving their slide. Hello, are you using? Okay, then I will go with this organ, liver.
No, this is intestine blood glucose control.
That is what I'm saying. That is what, yeah. So that is what I'm saying now. How I'm from this slide onwards, I'm going to show you how intestine is getting the benefit. So what is the role of, you are going to ask me, what is the role of intestine in insulin function or in insulin secretion, and how it is controlling the glucose homeostasis or glucose equilibrium in our body. Because glucose is essential, not important, but essential. Without glucose, your brain is not going to work. Without glucose, you do not have any energy. But it should be used correctly, not justing into additional excessive glucose, inducing all sorts of secondary effects in diabetes. How it is controlled? So when you are taking food, the intestine, it goes from the stomach, it goes to the intestine. And the intestine is producing the one molecule which is called a GLP or glucagon-like peptide. This is the one which will stimulate the production of insulin in the pancreas. So it is called incretin pathway. The GLP will stimulate the insulin production. Again, we have to be very careful. I've told you many times, excess of insulin is also not good. So that means GLP should not be there all the time and producing insulin. So it should live short time. So it is living short time. It's a natural lifetime is short, but at the same time, you should live enough time. So this is what is nature's equilibrium. The equilibrium should be established in having the right time of life so that it stimulates insulin. So what is happening to control this? How it is done in nature? There is one enzyme, insulin, the GLP, which is the triggering the insulin production. GLP is produced in the intestine and triggering the insulin production. That will be controlled by an enzyme called peptidase, DPP4, and which is controlling the lifetime to the optimal minutes, a few minutes, so that the GLP goes and stimulate the insulin. While in the case of diabetic people or diabetic rats or diabetic animals, this enzyme peptidase, which is degrading the GLP, is too high and too active. So the GLP is not functional. It will not go and make the many medicines, if you have seen the second slide, which I showed, DPP4 inhibitors or GLP analogs. So these are the allopathic medicines used. Just use GLP as analog for a short living time and give it, or the DPP4 to inhibit or control the GLP lifetime, that is a few minutes. So DPP4 inhibitors have been studied extensively in all sorts of preparation. So here we wanted to see how aloe vera is functioning at the level of intestine. Because this, one second, aloe vera is given only in the oral form, no injection. It is just given in water through the mouth along with the normal controlled regular food. I mean, normal food, not any special control. So this is given only as the oral feed, this powder, which was just suspended in water and given. That's all. So how this is controlling this oral thing. So now next, if we take the next slide, by feeding aloe vera to the diabetic rats and normal rats, we are comparing. We measured both the GLP level of those rats and this enzyme which is degrading GLP, that is DPP4. You see here, miraculously in all the cases, the aloe vera rats, the diabetic induced rats fed up with aloe vera are coming back to the normal values, both in terms of GLP and in terms of DPP4. That is, it is able to make the intestine produce GLP to go and stimulate insulin, and it is able to make the GLP live enough time by inhibiting the DPP4 enzyme, which is produced in excess in the case of diabetic pathology. So this is a control done by oral aloe vera that we have given in maintaining the level of GLP and also a correct time span of lifetime for it, by a few minutes in fact, so that it can go and do its work of secreting insulin. Next one. So if you see that, how does it correlate with the intestine? Because I'm seeing that only in the blood. You can say, what is that? Why you say that it's only happening in the intestine? It can happen somewhere, but this function is intestine. It is known physiologically by all the scientists. And also we are showing here, this is the normal rat's intestine. And the diabetic rat intestine is what we call villi, the things coming just like outside here. They are diseased. You can see that they are opening and they're not good. But once treated with aloe vera, they come back to the normal level. So this is the miracle. So that means some of the compounds in this aloe vera, they are working in harmony with the others to make the intestine do the right job in terms of going to pancreas and secrete the insulin. Next is the function of liver. Liver is one of the very important organs in all our digestion process and the energy storage process and making all the functions, including maintaining the glucose level in your blood. So there are two functions of the liver in terms of glucose function in the body. One is maintaining the glucose level in the blood by making a reserve of the excess sugar. So whatever excess sugar we happen to eat, or when for some reason we have excess sugar, it gets into the form of glycogen and stored in the liver. Glycogen is a protein which is stored in the liver because of excess sugar taken by our body. And that glycogen is done by glycogen synthase. And that glycogen is our sugar reserve, which will release sugar when the body is going low in sugar. When the blood is going low in sugar, hypoglycemic condition, there is one enzyme which will go and attack the glycogen and give the glucose into your blood, release glucose into your blood. That's called neoglycogenesis. And if there is enough sugar in your blood, and if the glycogen is still lot, it is not good. So the excess of that glycogen is used by another enzyme to produce energy. Because all of you know, it is nothing new under the sun for anybody. Our sugar intake is energy intake, and that is what is translated into energy and muscular strength and energy. So this is the story, how the liver functions in controlling the sugar. So one part of the function of the body is this. So how this aloe vera is interfering, because we have seen that aloe vera is miraculously establishing insulin level and also sugar level in the body over a period of 3 weeks with the ingestion of a few milligrams per day. So then how does it function at the level of liver? This is again oral aloe vera, not injected, straight, just given into the mouth. Next. Same thing. The same rats were controlled for liver, intestine and everything. You see here, the glycogen is produced almost to the normal level after treating with aloe vera. Next one. Because there are two enzymes here which are controlled to make the glycogen reserve correct, and then use it when it is necessary to release sugar. That is one pathway. The other one is excess of glycogen which is stored is used to energy. That's another enzyme. So this miracle substance, aloe vera, I mean, we know which part of the compound is doing this job. It is making more glycogen. Next slide. Yeah, more glycogen by stimulating that enzyme. And also it is making less of, it doesn't release unnecessary sugar into the body by inhibiting the enzyme that will release the free sugar into the body. And at the same time, it will release the energy through another enzyme which it is stimulating. So the same aloe vera extract, having different components, they work in harmony, in very good team spirit. One will just produce glycogen, the other will control the glycogen level by doing energy, and when it is necessary, it will release the sugar into the blood. So the same product having different ABC function is doing this job miraculously in harmony in the right proportion. That's the most important. That is why I said from the first slide itself, the composition is the most important. When you have that standard composition, the right proportion is there, it's doing the job just by taking half a teaspoon of that aloe vera into the mouth. Next one. So this is the liver picture. So you are seeing the liver, diabetic liver. It is having lot of inflammation in the cells. I'm sorry, I'm not able to see very clearly. Maybe you are seeing more clearly. The liver cells are inflammatory. Of course, I'm not going to talk to you today about all these inflammatory things because inflammation is also absolutely controlled by aloe vera. In fact, that is the path for many of these bad reactions in the body when we get diabetic. So after treatment with aloe vera, the inflammation is reduced and the liver starts functioning in a healthy way. Next one. So we have seen the organs like intestine and liver directly connected with the glucose metabolism and how glucose is controlled in the blood, in the body, and how insulin is produced and how it is functioning, etc. Now, an additional pathway, this is, we all take a lot of lipids, and many of you know that lipids are not very, excessive amount, and good quality lipid or bad quality lipid are not good. So this is what is happening. I'm going to show you how it affects it. This is through kidney also. So kidney has got a function.
No, these are lipid levels are low.
That is what I'm saying. Kidney and also the lipid levels in the body, the lipid biosynthesis. You can see here this aloe vera. This we have taken a very interesting part. This is a separate study, not just a normal rats, because the lipid, you know that it is also responsible for obesity. And Krishnan has already explained to you in his first presentation, obesity and diabetes, how they are very closely linked and how they can lead to other consequences, and what are the systems involved in the lipid metabolism in our body. So we have this study is done with not with the normal regular rats, but with obese rats, very, very heavy obese rats, which were diabetic. So we have taken these obese diabetic rats and tested the feeding of aloe vera, again oral feeding, no injection, oral feeding. You can see how the different, all of you know, most of the people know today HDL, LDL and VLDL, etc., how they are controlled here. Everything is brought back to normal by giving that aloe vera, same dose. I am not changing the dose. From the beginning, it's the same dose, depending upon the component, which one is, how much is available, so we calculate. So then next one is, you can see, so you have seen how the lipid is controlled. That is controlled through some enzymes in the kidney, lipases, which are controlling the lipid metabolism. So this aloe vera helps in making those enzymes function normally in harmony. So you get the lipid control. So you can see here the kidney of these obese rats with diabetes and after treatment. So this is the thing. So I think, next one. So I think I'm showing you this harmony of the activity or the function of this miracle powder, as I call it, starting from stomach when you are eating, when you are taking aloe vera, it's going through the stomach to the intestine to produce this GLP and limit the DPP4 of the diabetic rats, and then make insulin produced by the pancreas, and that insulin is being used correctly, and other pathways of liver involving the sugar reserve to be kept correctly and released when it is necessary, and not released and used as energy when excess sugar reserve is there. And the lipids are being controlled by the kidney and other organs to get it into the right way. So you have a total harmony of action of the different components of the aloe vera from the same extract, just given the same amount only orally. So how all the organs are functioning in harmony to maintain the diabetes and the lipid under control in the animals. Of course, we have some, I told you already, but the data is very scarce because 50 patients is nothing. So we are waiting. So next one. So this is the conclusion I want to take. So we have really been lucky. I should say the student who wanted to work on that, she had probably the insight or vision, I don't know. And I have to thank her and congratulate her. She's still continuing to work on this and in a very good way. And we found that all the organs are contributing. All the organs are affected positively by this extract, which is having a very clear composition. And we have shown that composition to be same over 15 years now, from one batch to the other. So we are able to make batch to batch reproducibility, which is very interesting, showing that consistency in the effect of this product on the health diabetic control. Only thing is now we should get someone to make it, prepare it in high quantity and available for the public so that we can enjoy our own benefit in this country. So now, next slide. I would like to thank the people who have done the work. I started that, but all these people, this is not one person's effort or 1 year's effort. It's more than 15 years of effort from our laboratory, and some other people joined from outside who made contributions in different ways, including some Ayurvedic people and some pharma people. But now the people have really done all the data that we have seen is Professor Krishnan, who conducted with Sai Sticker all the Ayush guideline work. Dr. Aisha Noor, this is the student who started working with me, and she has now come to some miraculous data in her work. And Sai Sticker now is in a big pharma company, but not working on aloe vera. And Prasanna Raja, who has shown, he has even identified some single molecules working at the level of that GLP regulation and DPP4 inhibition. And Spurti Babu, she has come out with something extremely interesting at the level of intestine. Exciting, I would say, interesting and exciting. And this is Govindarajan. He has done all the work at the level of the liver. And he has shown that the liver, how it is functioning, how it is controlling, how aloe vera is functioning at the level of the liver. And this is Neha Diora, who is the one who has combined the study of obesity and diabetes, and how the kidney role is there in terms of this lipolytic and lipolysis and lipid control, which is also contributing. So it's a team of excellent people who have been contributing with their very consistent work. And also, whatever I have shown is only the tip of the iceberg, because there's much more depth in that because of the time limited and the make it easy understanding. I have shown you only the tip of the iceberg, so I'm ready to discuss everything with you.
Thank you, Vijay. So, 1 second, I will open the chat box.
Correct.
You want to stop sharing, Professor Krishnan?
Yeah, I will do that 1 second. I'm not getting the complete. Why is this? I'm not able to see the icon to close it.
Okay. Let me see.
Chat box.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So
Thank you. I think we can go in for the questions now. One question I'm sure everybody must be having in the minds is the million-dollar question. How do diabetics get the product for use? I think Sukanya Rao has asked that question. Is it available in the market?
diabetics get the product, whether it is available in the market.
That is the appeal I made.
That's the appeal you've made.
Yeah,
Yes.
that is the appeal I made to the public, saying that we have some people, but problem is how to get the manufacturing, because I am making only at the pilot scale 25 kilos of raw material. So 2-3 things which are difficult now. If any public person is interested, we can probably negotiate. One is to produce the good quality aloe vera, tons, not small amount. Okay, because I'm getting the supply from different suppliers as of now. And then second is to make the extraction. And some of these guys who have been working with me on the pilot scale are listening to the talk now. And not later than yesterday night, we discussed and we thought whether we can make contract manufacturing. So then after that, because the yield is not very high, it may be expensive, but it is worth, because we have some other data which I have not disclosed, because if you work out the cost of treatment per year, it may not be working more expensive than the regular medicines. It's certainly less than insulin. So this is the answer. How to get it? This is the big, my own family is saying, can you not make some for us and give?
Yeah. So one, Savita Guru Prasad wants to know if there is any research on Kalonji. Is there any research on Kalonji in managing diabetes?
No, we have not worked on other plants. We did a very few other plants, but only nominal work. But this one is the one we have taken very really in depth to reveal how and what is functioning, what is the inside thing. Kalonji, we have not worked. We worked on one plant, I forgot very early because this was given to be my friend. I forgot. And this is published with Sarada as first author. This is some leaf, but we have not done in-depth work in it. No.
She also thanks you for a wonderful session. Sridhar Lalita wants to know, how does metamorphin work? Is long-term...
Metformin.
Is metformin, I think.
Yeah, metformin.
Is long-term use of more than 25 years okay? And is aloe vera a metformin substitute?
See, how does it metformin works? Very complicated, but metformin helps in the receptor binding, that is making insulin functional. Because what happens in the type 2 diabetes, even if its insulin is secreted, it is not able to do its function because it is not able to go and bind to the target that it should bind. So metformin helps that. And also they have found some recent benefit effects of metformin. People are using for a very long time without much difficulty in metformin. Dose is a problem. So you have to be adjusting the dose. For example, I take my own case. Initially, I was taking one metformin only at night and Genuvia in the morning. And after that, it was only metformin in the morning and the evening. Then I don't remember what I took in the evening. And then again, now I've come to 2 metformin in the night and 1 in the morning. So the dose is to be controlled with reference to your sugar profile, your HbA1c and sugar profile. So in aloe vera, we have not found that much of dose difference. It was going regularly, and that is, of course, much more work is needed. We did not find that change in the dose was needed in that period that we have studied. Say 1 year, about a year. Yeah.
Okay. So have you tried aloe vera
Maybe
yourself?
Krishnan can say a few things on that, because
Yeah. So regarding how does metformin work? Basically, it sensitizes insulin to work. Because type 2 diabetes is predominantly insulin resistance, it makes it to work in a better way. So what, there are a number of other targets of metformin. There's an enzyme called AMPK. When it is activated, the glucose is used efficiently. Okay, so glucose is efficiently, it is used, and that's another target. And aloe vera, whether it is working as a substitute, perhaps yes. And we don't have direct evidence. We have not evaluated.
No, we have compared with metformin as the control, but we do not have the but pathway is what we have shown. So, I mean, your question is whether aloe vera can substitute metformin. Is that the question?
Yes.
Yes,
Is that the question?
That's
There is no
That is the
need to
question.
substitute any one of it. We substitute all of them together. That is the answer. Because from the beginning, I was excited. This aloe vera is able to do insulin secretion and insulin binding. That is, it is doing the job of sitagliptin and metformin together.
Okay, thank you. Yes.
So because this has been my excitement, see in patients, you give sitagliptin to produce insulin and then metformin to make insulin functional, to bind to the receptor. So apparently we have seen with aloe vera, we did not give anything else. It was doing both the functions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. So Vinaya Dravid is asking, does aloe vera work effectively with insulin injections also?
No, that we cannot answer because we did not take the risk of taking patients with that, human beings with that high level. In the case of human beings, in the rats, we did not use insulin. It's only aloe vera because the rats had 400 mg sugar.
Okay.
So that was possible to do it, but you cannot take that risk with the human beings. We have to go further into that. Yeah.
Okay.
Probably answer is yes, but with a lesser dose. You can,
So-
what my probable answer will be, you can decrease the amount of insulin and keep the dose of aloe vera normal because it doesn't have any of the side effects. And it will not, as you have seen in the first graph of insulin is getting regulated, not just producing insulin. So you are giving insulin just immediate action, and then the aloe vera will regulate so that slowly you can reduce, and probably the doctors should come forward with that. Yeah. Yeah.
So one question that I got on a personal message is, are you looking for any volunteers to test?
No, we cannot do. We are not authorized. We have to go with either authorized doctor. So Dr. Mohan was saying, I'm willing to do. Now we have to produce it in high quantity to deal with. We are not supposed to do because we are scientists. We will not be authorized to do any clinical trial without a partner.
So the 50 people that you tried it on.
Oh, it was a company, not me.
Okay. Okay.
And they got the permission with ethical clearance, human ethical clearance from Delhi,
Okay.
etc.
Okay.
And this was when a long time ago, and then that company is not existing now, unfortunately.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
We got the permission. No, we cannot do human trial, but Ayurvedic people can do, because that is where we have to get a good partner. But what Ayurvedic people probably are feeling is how to produce this big quantity in a manufacturing level. And second is cost. Because what will be the cost with this yield that we are getting? So that is the one we are still discussing and negotiating.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
because
you.
we cannot do human trial. We are not allowed. It's illegal.
Thank you. Vegu,
Yeah.
Professor Krishnan, do you have any other questions that you want to ask Vijay?
No, most of the questions have been asked. So one of the burning question that we always have is about the natural products, which Vijay explained. So you know,
Somebody is given.
No. She's asking me whether I can ask any questions. So it's about the batch to batch consistent production. And you know, the one has to be very careful with usage of
Raw material.
I'm coming to usage of these natural products available in the regular store because the raw material sources, we have to be careful. And also, like any other medicine without the guidance of a physician or a doctor, if we do use these natural products indiscriminately, people can end up in problems. So this is a caution I'm trying to tell, because we do know that there are people who have used, for instance, some of the green tea extracts, and they said it is improving brain function, it stimulates, and it also lowers sugar, etc. They took it for months together, and then their kidneys were affected because because there are multiple components which are there in these extracts, and we do not know all of them. And unlike a pharmaceutical product, which is a single molecule, even they have a lot of issues. But now we are having multiple products, but it acts in a synergistic way. It's better to be careful while using these natural
Okay,
products.
let me explain it in more vividly, whatever he's trying to say. See, this aloe vera has different groups of components, not just components, groups of components, in which there are so many different components which are acting synergistically together in harmony as a team. So the nature has made it in such a way that the proportion is balanced in the right raw material. So I'm again insisting, when the raw material is chosen correctly, because I cannot reveal all those details to you because that's a trade secret. Then you have the right proportion of each one of these components correctly, so which act together in synergy to cure this miracle cure what we have seen. So this is that is why when we calculate it, probably right now looks expensive, because people say, why should I pay this much amount for this product? But if we calculate over a long period of use, this is also the message I'm trying to give to my outside colleagues who made this discussion with me regarding the cost, etc. So if you calculate on the real term, how many years, what is the number of months in a year that you would need this, and what will be the cost of taking insulin or other medicines for diabetes, and how this will equate. This is a long study we need. It is not going to be finished in one day. So the two things are very, very important: raw material and mode of production with the consistency of the composition. That we have shown. That is what is our secret of success over a period of 18 years now, 18, 19 years. Exactly. Yeah, the first extract was weighed in around 2004, 2005. So 2005, let's say. So 18 years are gone. So that is the secret.
The 3 minutes left.
Yeah, we have, yes. I would like to call upon Jay Srinivasan, founder RedMed, for his closing comments, because we have a few minutes. I'd like Jay to close this wonderful, absolutely mind-blowing session. Jay, please come in.
Thank you.
I would like to have some feedback about the general public who are attending, number of people, to see how they are feeling, because I know that everybody is going with some kind of thing, oh, when I get it, is it possible? So this is the thing I would like to have.
Excellent session. A lot of people have commented.
Yeah, okay.
Please
go ahead.
Jay, please.
Jay, go ahead.
Thank you. I really don't have words to express the kind of information that we have received today, the fascination of the progression of your research, the outcomes that you have achieved, and it has taken 18 years, so it's not a trivial thing. So this, for anybody who has joined us today, I think it must have been, I can say without, at least on my part, that this must have been one of the high points of our series of guests that we have had on this session. It has been truly phenomenal. What I'm eagerly awaiting for is that you are able to get an industry partner quickly who has the same intent, the purpose, and the deep pockets to go through it with full sincerity. And that is something that at RedMed you have our fullest cooperation in trying to also do our bit in connecting you with anybody that we come across. Quick question here before I know I've been given a role here to deliver the vote of thanks, but a quick question to both of you. Would you be looking for partners of Indian companies or multinationals as well? Anybody?
Anybody, but I have to give you one information. It is off the side. When I was working with a partner here in India, they got a foreign preparation, so-called extract powder, which was looking beautiful. But when we tested, it was not as efficient as ours. So that is where, in fact, that work with that company stopped, because they were interested in introducing that American powder, which is also called Aloe Vera powder. But when I have the data with me, I can share the data with you anytime, because this was done many years ago. So then that is the time that company said, no, we want to promote that. I said, then sorry, this is the data, you do whatever you want. I told them, because if the company is willing to come with the standard that we are proposing, whether they, because the cost will be the problem, because if you get the raw material with raw material is local, because I get not so expensive raw material, and I'm able to get a supplier, regular suppliers from 2 or 3 sources. But then the problem is to make the process. So if a company is coming, see, I can tell you openly, Jay. See, the company that with which I was discussing now, that is in the last few days, they are worried about the amount of alcohol to be used. I said alcohol can be recycled. And we have already tested with the simple material of extraction, which is working very beautifully. This data is there. But they feel that the working cost will be very high at the end of the day. That is the worry they have, and they have expressed that to me. So should we convince them? Should we go and convince them, say, with some investors, and then see whether we can at least have a few batches? Because there the human trial is possible without much difficulty.
Right.
I hope they are listening to me now.
Right. The reason I asked this question is twofold, and that really tells upon the size of the company or how much resources they have. The first is the complexity in terms of purifying this product, right?
No purification. No purification. I will tell you how it is done. No. Purification is only to understand the mechanism that I have done that job with some more than half a dozen PhD students and 10 years of work. Otherwise, the total extract is working very well, because I wanted to see how this total extract is working. So total extract, I'll tell you how the procedure is. We take that and extract it with alcohol and then spray dry it. That's all.
Okay. The second expense would involve actually doing a clinical trial in human beings.
Depends
and that
upon,
would be,
depends upon if you go to, shall I reveal? Yeah. If you go to Ayurvedic people, it's automatic. You don't need any special permission.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So now the challenge is to get a good Ayurved person who can,
who is willing to go through that and see. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, for those of us waiting for me to shut up, I just want to conclude.
No,
this,
Jay, I think we should meet.
Yes,
when one-to-one, maybe I can, and I hope some of the audience that you have today are also into this Ayurvedic business. I'm sure you must have had contacts with them. So probably we'll see what is the reaction. They will contact you.
Good. So for any of you out there who are either Ayurved people yourselves or have connections with good Ayurvedic practitioners or have a manufacturing capability, you know whom to get in touch with. Coming back to my role here to deliver the vote of thanks, Professor Krishnan and Professor Vijay, we can't thank you enough for this absolutely, eye-popping presentation that we have had today. Really seems to be something that can deliver a lot of positive outcomes to the 75 million diabetics in India today, which is expected to grow to some 130 in a few years. So this could be a phenomenal product entering the market, as good as metformin, better probably in terms of the adverse events that are taken care of, as it's a natural product. For any of you who are interested in contacting Professor Krishnan, Professor Vijay, we can certainly share their contact details with you. Just let us know. And we intend at RedMed and LBN to have Professor Krishnan and Professor Vijay back again. One of the things we realized was that they were delivering half and half in a 1 hour period, which is certainly not sufficient for the amount of detail and complexity that they were going to initially share with us. Professor Krishnan particularly, I think, had to skip a lot of things, a lot of his slides, just to get to the core of the idea or message across to all of us. So what we intend to do, and Sandhya has spoken to both Professor Krishnan and Professor Vijay, and they're both enthusiastic about it, to have them in the next few months. We will let you know the date, each of them on their own, so that they have the time and space to discuss their respective presentations in much greater detail, which may be of interest to those of you who are interested, who come from the background and would like to know more. For today's session, I wish to thank Professor Krishnan, Professor Vijay, to all their colleagues and students and team members who have been part of this fascinating, incredibly fascinating journey. I have known a few of them, and more so with one of them that I have remained in touch with. And I've had the benefit of hearing all this verbally several months ago. And it fascinated me then, and it continues to fascinate me today, which I hope it does to all of you as well, the same sentiments. And to Meghalai's Chintal Kumar at LBN Technologies for initiating this, making this possible, and her whole team at the company. To All Ladies League, which has also a sponsor along with the two of us in making this possible. As some of you know, this is a monthly program that we try to bring together at the end of every month, the last Saturday of every month. And this is typically 1 hour long, and we try to bring in very interesting people that have something to tell in the pursuit of good health for all of us. Once again, thanks to all of you. Thanks, Professor Krishnan, Professor Vijay. It has been great having you today on today's program.
Organizing this, it's a wonderful interaction that we had.
I think what I thought it is needed for people to know how things are working, because that's probably why the Indian medicine is not taking off very well. So if we are able to do in different laboratories this type of understanding the system, of course, that's what Valiathan was saying for a long time that we should do. But unfortunately, it needs a lot of, already here 10 people had to work to understand the interesting complex system that the nature has created. Yeah.
That's right. Over to you, Megha.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much, professors. It was such a wonderful session, and it should be publicized. I think like sports people and film stars, all you people are behind the screen heroes, right? So, I mean, this 1.5 hours was, very, very, very revealing for so much of stuff you've done for 18 years. And we are all waiting for this Aloe Vera to hit the market. I'm sure it's going to be a game changer for all the people, diabetics, as well as others who are waiting for this. So good luck to you on that. And a little note
Thank you.
Thank you so much. A little note about our next program, which is Ask the Expert session, which is will be on February 11th. We have a very interesting speaker, Arvind Kumar Shankar. It is about a radically different topic. It is about temple architecture. And you will know, I'll be sending you the flyers, and it will be updated on the Facebook page as well. So
Okay.
thanks all of you for your patience. We have overshot a little bit by 10 minutes. I apologize for that, but it was mind-blowing. This time is actually not enough. So looking forward to further sessions with Professor Krishnan, both of you, both you professors. Thank you so much. Thanks for being a great audience. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Have a lovely evening.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
all.
you.
Have a nice weekend.